Hello, hello, hello to all of you beautiful people out there. My name is Paula Alphonse, and I am with P Plus Consulting. And tonight we are talking with Megan, who is a paramedic, and she will tell us what it's like to do her job nowadays. So, hello,
Hi, Paula.
Megan. Nice to see you.
Thanks for having me.
My pleasure, my pleasure. So we're going to start with the usual, which is if you could tell us a little bit about you, who you are, what you do, and how long you've been doing it.
So my name's Megan. I've been a paramedic since 2016 now, originally from Winnipeg. Was doing some office work, decided it wasn't for me, and went the route of being a paramedic. So I had the opportunity to go to Victoria, BC, to do my EMR program, which is a prerequisite for being a PCP paramedic. And so I went out to Victoria, did my EMR, decided I loved it, and I wanted to continue with my PCP program, which is the paramedicine program. And took me a little bit to get going in Victoria, but once I did, I became a full-time paramedic, or I certified as a paramedic, and then I did a transfer back to Winnipeg. Decided it was better to be with family and friends here, and it was quite an easy process. So now I've been working as a paramedic for 2.5 years, rural Manitoba, and it's been a great experience, and I'm definitely happy with my decision.
Good to hear. So could you give us a sense of what a regular day looks like for you? And that was before COVID-19.
Yeah, so I'm a 12-hour shift, so I work 4 on, 4 off, 2 days, 2 nights, 4 off. So I get into work, you do a truck check, make sure all your equipment is in stock from the last crew, making sure that your stuff isn't expired. And, as soon as you get there, you grab your narcotics to have on your pouch, you have your pager, your radio, and you're ready to go at any point throughout the day. I'm lucky I'm at a 2-truck station, so that means there's 2 ambulances always there, unless someone's case at every station, and some of them are just only one. So this we go back and forth, so it kind of gives it a little bit, but our call volume is quite higher, and we cover a lot more of a lot of area. So we need the 2 trucks. So throughout the day, we're checking. We do get a lot of emails, surprisingly. I know a lot of people don't think paramedics do get emails, but we get quite a bit with memo changes or stuff that's new that's coming, stuff that isn't, or that's going to be taken off truck, things that are adjusted with protocols, new protocols. So there's always changes constantly. And then when we get a call, there's 2 different kinds of calls that we can get. We can get a primary or a transfer. Primary call is your typical 911 call that we get dispatched to. Dispatch asks standard questions of, call taker questions, pass it off to dispatch, and they kind of relay at if we're going to merge, non-emerge. So emerge, license sirens, non-emerge. We're just driving regularly, and we go from there. And then we also get transfers, which they're from hospital to another hospital, or to an appointment or something that they need to go on a stretcher, or they're not stable, but they need to go, for a cardiac surgery or something. So we get those throughout the day. And when we're not doing those calls, we're waiting in station, keeping up on station duties, and whatnot. So it really varies. Some days we're busy, we don't see the station all day, and some days we're just hanging out, just waiting for a call, trying to keep busy around the station.
Has anything changed since COVID-19?
Absolutely, yeah. So even just with changes for COVID, as soon as we get on to the station, we have to do a screening. So we walk in, sanitize, take our temperature, sanitize. My partner would take his as well, and we have to go online, submit it, and answer all these questions. If we fail any of the questionnaires, so any sore throat, runny nose, fever, anything, we do have to get home. We have to go home, and the truck will go out of service, and we do have to go get tested for COVID. Even they have changed it a lot. When it first came out, it was very simple. It was just sore throat, runny nose, and you have to go home. So I think a lot of people were doing that, and then they started changing it to, you know, non-seasonal allergies, or if you have body aches, it's not from exercising. So they had to clarify a lot, because I think there was a lot of confusion when it first came out. But I mean, there's so many things that are now coming out with COVID. So unfortunately, they kind of have to start being a little bit more specific when it comes to that kind of stuff.
In terms of, you mentioned some of the change that you've noticed in the way you do your job, but in terms of the people that you're providing service to, have you noticed a difference between pre-COVID and post-COVID?
Yeah, absolutely. I find that I'm really observing that there's two extremes. There is an extreme of people that really don't care. They think that it doesn't affect them. I'm healthy, I'm not going to get it, which unfortunately that's a poor mindset to have, because at the end of the day, a lot of the times you're asymptomatic and you're going to pass it along to someone else, and you don't even know it. I could easily be, you know, totally fine and not have a simple thing, because I'm fairly healthy, and I'll pass it on. I could kill them. So I think that's a poor mindset that I'm seeing, unfortunately. I don't know if it's a lack of information, if they're not watching a lot of the news, or, you know, keeping up with everything that's happening, or it's just maybe their choice. But I am seeing that. But then I'm also seeing the other side too, where our calls definitely have decreased, surprisingly, because people are kind of worried about us. They don't really want to get sick from us. I think a lot of them think that we have it. So they don't really call us if they don't need to, or they aren't calling because they don't want to go to the hospital. Unfortunately, those aren't the cleanest places. They do a great job at, you know, making sure they are doing their due diligence of cleaning. Unfortunately, you can't. It's a virus. I mean, it's really hard to keep it clean around there, with people constantly coming in and out. However, though, hospitals now are doing no visitors, so that has helped a lot. So when I bring a patient in, a family member has to come, I have to let them know that they would have to sit in the parking lot in their car, or they'll just get a phone call, because the hospital unfortunately won't let them in. But I think it's great for everyone else's safety there.
So even in the hospital, whether you call for someone to be picked up, you won't be able to go with them as you used to before. Is that what you're telling me?
Sorry, can you repeat that?
In the past, let's just say you would call for an ambulance and the ambulance would show up, you would almost automatically go into the ambulance with the patient. What you're telling me is that is no longer taking place, and then the hospitals are not also admitting visitors?
So it's family members. Any family members that if I were to go to a call and they're like, I need to go with them, you know, they have anxiety without me being there, we have to say, unfortunately, like, you can't come into the hospital. So they're not letting any visitors in.
And I know you started the conversation saying that you had made the right choice. This was the job for you. How does it feel now in terms of going to work every day? Any particular fears or concerns that you have with respect to your own health?
So yeah, when it first started, COVID first came, that was a really an easy feeling, I think. And I think it was the unknown. No one really knew what to expect. We didn't know how this would affect our job. And it caused a lot of anxiety on a lot of people that normally don't even have anxiety. It's just my partner, for example, his wife's due date is today, and he has to go to work, and he's scared that it's going to come home to his wife and to his other son. And so that was a really hard thing, I think, when COVID first came out. Luckily, there was a lot of changes, some for the better, some for the worse. But there was a lot of changes within the region and within the province that it did make things a little bit easier on us, maybe a little bit of peace of mind. But now, I mean, I'm getting about 30 emails a day, changes of protocols, two changes to one protocol a day. And I find that is tough because, I mean, if we're not on our phone checking our work email or, you know, checking the emails on our computer, we could easily miss something, and that something could be detrimental. And I think that's kind of a stressor on its own. Another thing I find, it's just not knowing if you're a carrier or not. And to me, like, I'm really good at social distancing when I'm not at work and I'm not seeing my family or my friends, and it's hard, as everyone here knows. But then you go to work and then you're next to someone right next to you, and then it's like, well, have you been social distancing? I don't really know. Like, do I trust, you know? So it's hard to know kind of who you're with, and if you have a casual or someone on overtime picking up with you, you know, have you been social distancing? Have you been doing your part? And I think that's it. It's like you have to keep people accountable, and or you're going to scenes, and you know, there's 20 family members here watching you do your thing, and you know, I appreciate that you all want to be here and you want to be is that saying your prayers or whatever the case may be, but unfortunately no one there is wearing masks, so it's really difficult in that sense. So I feel like it was really stressful. It's gone down a little bit now there's more protocols in place. It's not new, it's kind of been here for a bit, and they can kind of find a game plan on how to better proceed. So it has improved, definitely. But I'd be crazy to say if it doesn't affect me mentally, right?
Yeah, and the challenge is for everyone, it's a huge change, and it's figuring out how do we make it happen. And the organizations are trying as much as possible to keep you safe and healthy while they're doing their job. But then at the same time, they're adding to the job by changing the protocols and making sure that everything is as up to date as possible. So it's not a perfect pace. It's not one of those situations where it's I'm so used to doing this and I love doing it. Every day you have to recheck everything. So it keeps you on how could I say, on the edge almost like every day.
Absolutely.
If I was to ask you, how do you maintain your mental health through all of this?
So it's tough. It's tough. So one thing I'm really lucky for is I actually work out at a CrossFit gym, CrossFit Optus. And as soon as this happened, they were actually one of the first CrossFit gyms in Winnipeg to offer for their members to take home some equipment. So having exercise in my daily routine for my mental health, that hasn't really changed, other than me just having to have enough energy to do it on my own and to plan my workouts. So I'm very lucky. I got a lot of equipment from them. So I have a full gym in my apartment here, which is quite nice. And I think, you know, I'm a pretty vocal person when it comes to my emotions and my feelings. And I think that I have a good support team. I have really good friends and family that are constantly, you know, checking in on me, and I'm checking in on them, even though they're, I mean, working from home and they're bored. I get it. Like, I couldn't imagine on my 4 days off, I normally pick up overtime, which, you know, it's because I'm not used to staying at home. And I totally understand that. And I think that takes a huge toll on your mental health as well. So I think that even maybe me selfishly by checking in on other people and maybe distracting myself with them, and that does help me. And you know, I'm lucky to be working, as crazy as that sounds. You know, unfortunately, a lot of people don't have that opportunity, right? And they're struggling in other ways. So I'm very fortunate to be working, and so I find sometimes just, you know, taking a moment to reflect on how fortunate I am, it does help my mental health for sure. And I think also too, like, just getting outside, I totally respect social distancing. So I think it's important to remember that, like, if you're keeping your distance, it's okay to go for a walk. It's okay, but make sure you're washing your hands every handle you touch, and taking care of yourself like that. But I think now that the sun is getting out, I don't think that should be something that we're trying to be afraid of going outside, because you kind of feel guilty whenever you do anything outside your home. But I think it's important that you're still taking care of your mental health by getting outside and really and doing things for yourself in that way, because we can't do a lot of things for ourselves that we normally do, unfortunately.
I find it interesting because with the spring, summer coming, there's that willingness or that urge to go out and do things, and then you still have to remind yourself social distancing. So no, we won't be going to the beach. No, we won't be going for that beer at the corner patio. So it's those things that as we're moving into this and we still don't have a clear sense of what the future will hold, there's that sense of feels like I'm have to learn something new almost every day. If you were to think of maybe so far, because you've talked about your gratitude, you've talked about the exercise, you've talked about those the connecting with friends and family and your support system. If you were to think about lesson learned so far for you, whether it's personally or professionally, what would those be for you?
So that's a tough one, because so I'm very appreciative, like I said, of my family, my friends, and I think it's kind of made me appreciate the relationships I do have with them. You kind of take them for granted, and I think that was a huge lesson, right? My mom's simply saying good morning, and I get irritated, but it's because I just got off work, and things like that. It's tough, but you kind of take a step back and you reflect, and I'm quite fortunate that I do have that, and I think that's a huge lesson for me, is that a lot of people have lost a lot of their loved ones, and I couldn't even imagine not being able to say goodbye, because you can't go into the hospital, not being able to have a funeral for someone. And I think that was a huge kind of eye-opener for me, is that you gotta appreciate what you do have, and maybe reach out a bit more. I mean, I do tend to reach out to my family and friends, but maybe not enough. And I think that, with FaceTime, I'm FaceTiming way more than I ever have in my entire life. Catching people off guard. My friend literally told me, you have to start letting me know when you're gonna be FaceTiming me, because I was just like, instead of a text, I'm just gonna FaceTime. And so it's that was a huge lesson in itself. But I think it's also taught a huge lesson. It's taught me it's to slow down a little bit. I work a lot. I work a full-time job. I have a side business. I keep really busy, and when I need to rush to the grocery store, I have a time frame. I know I have 30 minutes. I need to get in, get out. And I think now this has really taught me to slow down, because now I know I can't be in a rush if I'm going to go to Costco or to the grocery store, because who knows how long I'm going to wait in line, how long it's going to take me going down every aisle, because you need to follow the rules of the arrows and whatnot. So it's definitely taught me just to take care of myself and slow things down in that sense, for sure. Not be in such a hurry. And also, take care of myself and make sure that I do, don't overwork, because I'll get sick, and then I'll, it's easy to be immunocompromised, right? And then you're more susceptible to receiving COVID-19. So I think there's a lot of little lessons, but I do think it's going to change in a whole. And I think even just by the way you're constantly washing your hands, and hand sanitizer. My hands are raw, so raw from working, and they definitely were before, but now it's definitely every little thing that I touch. I'm sanitizing my pen, I'm cleaning everything. I'm just more mindful about everything that I touch while I'm on a call.
We're going to finish with this question, and I'm going to ask you, if you had a magic wand, what would be the one thing you would want more of or less of?
It's a really tough question, Paula, because I'll definitely say, obviously, I wish there was no pandemics. I wish that this wasn't our reality. Unfortunately, it is. And I think that one thing that I would definitely want less of is less of, unfortunately, people dying from this. I don't even want to look at the statistics in the States, but especially here. And there's a lot of people that, like I said earlier, they can't say goodbye to their loved ones. They can't even have a funeral for them. They don't, like, it's wild to me to even understand that, because I've experienced death and in family and at work, and I've seen how much it takes a toll on someone, and grieving is important, and being able to say your goodbyes and to deal with that is really important. And unfortunately, a lot of people don't get that opportunity right now. And then, you know, I think one thing that I would want more of is more people just realizing the severity of it. I see a lot of ignorance in people, and you know what? Like I said earlier, maybe that's just ill-informed. I really don't know, and that's okay. But be willing to learn and to understand how real this is. And yes, I understand you're healthy, and you know, I'll never get this, is what people say. Like, I'm totally fine. I'm super healthy. I don't get sick ever. It's like, I understand that. However, it's so easy to pass it along. And I think it's important that now that, you know, I don't know about other provinces really, but I know Manitoba just came out with a new one today yesterday, that there's going to be different phases, and we're going to see how we're going to slowly start integrating back into our norm. And I think that it's important that, you know, I want less people to be ignorant and more people just trying to understand that we can take 5 steps back right now if we don't continue with how we've been doing things. And I think it's important to, you know, beat COVID-19, to just be aware and to stick with what you're doing, and even do it better. Wash your hands more, you know, stay away. Like, I don't know why, but people at the grocery store think it's okay to come reach over my shoulder. And it's wild. It's wild that some people just still don't understand that there's a pandemic going on. And I think it's just, you know, it's important to just not overdo the news, because I know it could be so overwhelming, and it does do a lot of depression and just on that for a lot of people just watching it. And but I think it's important to keep in the know and to make sure that you know what's happening in your area and how we could better get this going. Like, I'm sure everyone would love to have a summer again, so if everyone could just work together and, you know, try to take care of ourselves and not pass it along. I would love more of that, especially at work. It's frustrating when you see people in a group and you're driving by them in the ambulance, or you're like, for a cardiac arrest, I need to wear glasses, mask, 2 pairs of gloves, a gown. I'm dripping sweat. I'm not enjoying myself whatsoever. It's not my choice to go to work. I'm going to work. I'm doing my job. And you see people just out there having fun. It's like, stop hanging out with your friends for a sec, and you know, just appreciate that people are out here trying to make it a little better and to try to help with this, right? So I think that I would love more of people understanding the whole, not just themselves and being selfish they just really need someone to hang out with.
I think at least what I'm observing in my neighborhood and what I've heard from different people I've spoken to, it's for me, it's the power of habits. Those things we're so accustomed to, and we don't even think about it twice. And we can be lulled when there's no one around that has that seems to be sick, because it's not one of those diseases that you can see something is wrong. So there's that tendency to say, oh, it's not that bad, it's all good, it's just gonna go past, because it's an invisible threat in some way. So it's hard. There's a bit of denial, but there's also the wanting to go back into my comfort zone. Summer's coming, let's hang out, let's do this, let's wear those nice little summer outfits. And it's just like, no, not yet, wait. And if you wear it, maybe put it on social media in front of your mirror, do whatever it is. But it might not be that I'm going to go to the park and have everybody look at me, because that's not social distancing. But thank you very much for being so candid with us and let us know what your reality every day is. It's not, I will say to you what I hear a lot of people say. Thank you. Thank you very much for putting your life on the line every single day, so that the rest of the society can be better or can get better. So this is one of those times where I might be second guessing, why did I pick that job? Would have been better doing IT. But reality is, thank you for being of service to all of us.
Thank you, and I appreciate it, because I know I wouldn't be able to do it without a lot of other frontline workers, right? Nurses, doctors, my grocery workers, the liquor store employee. Everyone. It's important that everyone is thanked for that. And so I appreciate you saying that. Yeah, definitely.
Because while some of us might get to have a choice as to whether I step out or not, there's quite a wide range of people. And you're talking about the liquor store, we're talking about the grocery store. All of those places are there to support in a way that you can still remain in confinement. Because if we had removed everything, then of course people were going to break all the rules. So that's the part of the reality. And thank you for accepting to be on this live with us. For all of you out there that are doing their best to get through this particular situation, I just want to remind you of 3 little things. First, take care of yourself. And don't forget to fill up your own cup, because you can't pour and help others if your cup is empty. Be kind to one another, because we'd never know what the other people are going through. And with social distancing, they might not even have an outlet to let all of those anxiety, fears, concerns come out. And then pay it forward in whichever way you can, be it by calling someone, be it by being generous with your smiles, are you crossing people's path, and offering a kind word from afar. There are people that unfortunately are all by themselves and might not have such a wide network to support them. So try as much as possible to be nice to everyone, so that we can all move together to a better state. Thank you very much, Meagan, and all of you for choosing to spend this time with us.
Thanks, Paula.